And we're back. Welcome back to the Daily Spread. Today is Tuesday, April 4th. I'm still getting used to it being April, actually. I keep wanting to type March when I do these things. But it is April 4th, and we should have a pretty good show today. I'm Chris Ross. As I said, this is the Daily Spread. It's brought to you by landgrantgauntlet.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @the_LGG. Definitely hit us up there. We love to talk football, Big 12 especially. So if you give us a follow, comment, we can chat there too, or just comment here in the post. That's always good. Lot to talk about today. We got a few things. The Sooners, Oklahoma, they picked up a walk-on kicker for this class, which the 2017 class. So that's always good. I mean, I never know how you feel about picking up a kicker, but the kid's got a leg, so we'll definitely look at that. Speaking of the Sooners, they scheduled a home-and-home series with Tennessee, which should be really, really exciting because their last game there in Knoxville in 2015 went to overtime, one of the better games of the early season there. Good stuff from them. Love to see that matchup. The Longhorns, Burnt Orange Nation has a pretty cool article looking at the Longhorns offensive line. Tom Herman is kind of happy with the way some guys are coming along there, so that's good for them. And then an article that dropped yesterday here at the LGG, we're looking at, is this the year Texas Tech fields a defense? Will they have something on that side of the ball other than 11 guys standing there filling a need? Will they provide some sort of resistance this season? It's been a while since we've seen that in Lubbock. Have we seen that in Lubbock? You never know anymore. Okay, and then we're also going to look at the Horned Frogs schedule. That also came out yesterday, or early this morning, actually. That dropped this morning. If you haven't seen it yet, we're looking ahead at the 2017 schedules. We're focusing on the Horned Frogs today. They're a dark horse candidate to win the Big 12. They have some talent coming back. They have their question marks, but their schedule, if they get through the first half of it, they'll be looking really, really good. But the first half is pretty brutal. And then kind of a cool article. We'll close the show with a cool article from Football Study Hall. They have an article out looking at 2016 quarterback production and kind of going through and ranking different things. It's really cool. It's really in depth. I haven't actually been able to check it out too much. I found it just before we went on here, so I'll kind of go through it for the first time with you guys. So that'll be interesting and fun. We'll see how that goes. As always, I kind of like to tweet the show out, although I was very ill prepared to do that today. So if you guys give me a second, kind of watch what's behind me. If you guys don't know, when I first started doing the shows a few weeks ago, I kind of had ESPN on in the background, just to kind of have something there, visually stimulating, I guess. I don't know. We're new at the whole audio visual kind of thing, so we're kind of learning this as we go. But I thought it'd be cool to have something there, so it wasn't just a black screen. I used to put ESPN on, but truth be told, I never really watch ESPN. I don't watch those shows. So I believe it's Friday. I ended up just putting The Office on, and I got some attention. So I think what we're going to do here is start kind of just putting on some of my favorite shows in the background and see if you guys can have fun figuring out what show it is, what episode it is, that kind of thing. Why not, right? I mean, why not? All right, so let me unpin yesterday's from the feed there. If you guys haven't checked us out on Facebook, which would be weird if you're watching this and haven't, especially if you're watching live, but we're facebook.com/LaneGrantGauntlet, all one word there. You can definitely check us out. So, my gosh, this is not working well for me today. All right. And we will, I will promise I will try to be more on time tomorrow. Late again today, I understand that. Try to keep this simple. All right, the game yesterday? Thank God we're not a basketball blog, right? That was freaking terrible. Gosh, dang. I'm sorry everybody had to sit through that. I think I think my wife put it best after the game last night. We were sitting there and she goes, "I'm so mad I stayed up for that." Yeah, and you know, I think that pretty much sums that up. That was Jesus. That was, unless you're a North Carolina fan, that was a pretty miserable game to watch there. All right. So boom, that is posted. So without further ado, let's if you guys, you know, hit the like button if you like it. If you don't like it, you know what to do. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, definitely hit the subscribe button. That's a huge help. We'd like to see that too. But if you are watching live, go ahead and leave a comment, ask questions along the way, and we'll try to make this kind of interactive here. And that will be fun. Let us know your thoughts on the articles as I'm talking about them. First up is Oklahoma. Picked up a walk-on kicker in Callum Sutherland. He's going to walk on. He's a kicker. If you watch his highlight video, he's got a leg. I mean, there's not a lot of info on kickers out there, so there's not a lot to talk about. We won't spend too much time on it, but he's got a leg. He, on several kickoffs, he puts it through the back of the end zone, which is a huge, huge plus when you start talking special teams. And, you know, if they can't run it back, then they can't run it back for 6. That's for sure. So a big get for them. Hopefully he does well there, and we'll see him in the future. Speaking of the Sooners, Oklahoma, Tennessee, they've agreed to another home-and-home non-conference series, which is super exciting. The first game kicks off... let me pull this up here, actually. The first game kicks off in 2020, and that will be Tennessee coming to Norman. And that's really cool. And then the Sooners won't make the return leg to Knoxville until another 4 years after that, so not till 2024. If you guys remember 2015, when they last played, that game went to overtime, and the Sooners won it in pretty dramatic fashion, and it was just an insane environment. They're in Knoxville. They obviously know how to do football there, just like, you know, anywhere in the SEC, really. They have big stadiums, lots of fans, and that game is going to be absolutely just nuts. It's awesome to see them bring it back. Wow, what was that? Let me get a drink here. All right, guys. Live streaming. If I had an editor, that would be taken out, but I don't, and it's live, so I can't, so I'll just kind of deal with this. My gosh. Okay. All right. Pardon the interruption. All right. So, in 2020, the Sooners, they already have, I believe, is it Army scheduled? Yes, and then 2024 they also have Temple and Tulane, so that kind of fills in their schedule a bit for them. Kind of interesting if you look at the Sooners' future schedules. They have everything from here till I believe like 2029 that has at least 1 or 2 games scheduled, except for 2023. They have no games scheduled at this point, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, they will get that filled, but kind of weird. If you got games in 2029 scheduled, but not 6 years before that, that's kind of weird. All right, moving on to the next topic. We kind of struggled through that one with my fit there. Burnt Orange Nation has a pretty cool article. Tom Herman, he's excited about Patrick Hudson and Denzel Okafor, how they're coming along on the offensive line. It looks like this unit might have some depth around it, which is good because they don't have a lot of depth at the tight end position. So if they needed to line up with some tight ends, some heavy sets to kind of help with run support, run blocking, they wouldn't be able to do that too much. But if their offensive line can handle it on their own, obviously the better off they will be. That's really cool. They have a couple guys out right now, but a good article there. Kind of Tom Herman so far seems to be pretty honest and pretty upfront with how he feels about positions. So I think we're getting a pretty accurate reading of where the Longhorns are at. If he says he feels good about a position, then I think we should believe him, and he's not just blowing smoke. Because based on things he's already said about other positions, I don't think he would blow smoke about that. So. Good to see that from the Longhorns. You know, obviously the better Texas is, the better off the Big 12 is. I don't expect huge changes from last season to this season for the Longhorns. However, the Big 12 desperately needs the Longhorns to be back from a national perspective. Then moving on, you just read that article. That's that's there on Burnt Orange Nation. We'll have it linked after the show. He talks about Denzel Okafor. I think he's got a great shot to provide us either some depth or be the starter at right tackle, Herman said. Even though he's a 6'3" guy, he's got probably the reach of a 6'8" guy. That's kind of what you want in an O-lineman. Not too tall, so they get out leveraged, but still has the reach of a tall guy. And then he says, there's some other comments there, so that's definitely check that out. It's a great article there. Up next, Texas Tech and their defense. This got some attention, as it should, because is this the year they will actually have a defense? Kingsbury seems high. He seems to think that that the defense will be significantly improved. It's hard to be any worse than they have been, right? But he's taking a little bit of a different approach this year. This is his 5th year there at Texas Tech, and so far, I think if he didn't have the 10-year contract, I think it's an understatement to say he would be on the hot seat. The Red Raiders have not done as well as they would have hoped at this point. However, David Gibbs, defensive coordinator, this will be his 3rd year, providing some consistency at the top. Kingsbury has stepped away from the offense to kind of support the defense more, give the defense more help, and kind of show that he believes in what they can be and believes in this unit. Something that he admits that he has not done in the past, and maybe in the past defensive players have felt like that Coach Kingsbury probably doesn't respect them a whole lot or believe in what they can do. And you know, it's hard. When you put up that kind of performance, it is hard to believe in what you can do. And then, guys, I want to point out Seth Jungman. He runs Staking the Plains, which is a fantastic Texas Tech site to definitely check out, especially if you're a Texas Tech fan. But he pointed out after the Frisco scrimmage and then, after the Midland scrimmage that the defense just looks the part now. They look bigger, they look tougher, they look better. They're just they look the part. Before they kind of maybe looked undersized, maybe looked like they were a half step behind, but now they look the part. They're playing better. The flip side of that is that because there's no Patrick Mahomes making them look foolish in the spring as he did with Big 12 defenses before, that maybe the offense has taken a step back. So does that make the defense in turn look a little better right now? Who knows? But I do think that we won't know that for a fact until the season starts. But right now, I think there is reason for optimism in Lubbock as far as the defense is concerned. The defense should be better. I don't have a lot of high hopes for the Red Raiders this season. Kind of based on what happened last year, and you're losing an All-American quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. I think that I don't know. We'll see. They have a very strong receiver unit. We'll see. Their offense. I don't know. Patrick Mahomes kept them in a lot of games last year. They only won 5 with him. I don't know what they do without him. If they're going to do anything, they definitely need the defense to be better. Then looking over at TCU, we're actually looking at their schedule. as we've done with other teams. We've already done Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, and Baylor, and now we're on TCU, and then up next will be Texas Tech, West Virginia, and Texas. But looking at the Horned Frogs schedule, it's brutal. They open up against Jackson State. That's a win. That's a slam dunk. But they go to Arkansas, a game they lost last year. They play SMU, a rival. SMU is improving, but that should be a win. We're not going to get that confused. That should be a win. But their opening Big 12 slate is pretty tough. They play Oklahoma State, which is my conference. They're actually my leading contender right now. There's 3 contenders: Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. Oklahoma State is my leading contender. So they open up in Stillwater, Big 12 play. Then they welcome West Virginia, who is another dark horse. I believe TCU is a dark horse, but West Virginia is a dark horse. And then they travel to the other conference contender in Kansas State. So definitely a tough stretch of 3 games there. They do have a bye between Oklahoma State and West Virginia, which will give them some much-needed rest. But that's going to be a tough stretch. Depending on how they get through those 5 games, the Arkansas, SMU, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Kansas State game will basically determine their season. Because after that, the only speed bump left is Oklahoma. And they have to travel to Norman, which will make it tough because you're looking at the 3 toughest games they play on the road at Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Oklahoma. Which is probably why they're more of a dark horse than a contender. Because they do have to. Kenny Hill has to be more consistent for them to be a true contender. We have to see that consistency from him. He has shown the ability to be a big time quarterback, but not on a weekly basis, and he's got to do better about that. It's going to be a brutal October, kind of into September for TCU, but we'll know exactly who the Horned Frogs are pretty early. We're not going to have to wait to find out. But definitely check that out. We kind of look more in the matchups there and kind of give our thoughts through that. It's a great article there by Daniel on the site right now. That dropped this morning, so definitely check that out. And then lastly, as I talked about, we'll look at Football Study Hall has their 2016 college football quarterback stats tell us Mitch Trubisky might be worth the hype. He's looking at all the stats. Ignore the other quarterback, the North Carolina quarterback there. We're looking at... he has all the stats. He's broken it down kind of in separate categories. He's looking at different stats. He's looking at opponent adjusted, meaning garbage games against FCS opponents don't really count for much. But what's really cool is that Mason Rudolph, he is very high in the list. I think he is 4th when you're looking at passer stats. He's number 1 in touchdown to interception ratios. Baker Mayfield is listed as the number 1 dual threat quarterback on his charts there, with Patrick Mahomes actually 4 spots behind him, but Mahomes now gone, so that won't mean much for the 2017. But you kind of look, Skylar Howard actually did pretty well for a dual threat guy. Kenny Hill is on the list, but these are last year's stats, and it's kind of a stat dump. It's kind of going through it, but if you look at the guys that are returning, it kind of can be a good bar of what to expect maybe in 2017. Definitely kind of a cool article there. Just if you like the numbers, if you like looking through numbers and kind of going through the data and what does the data mean and trying to figure things out, that's definitely a great article there. Okay, that is about all I had today. Kind of stumbled through that show, huh? Yikes. We'll try to be better tomorrow. Brady should be back sometime. He's still focused on the NBA. He was going to try to be on today, but the Thunder ended up having a practice, which he had to go to cover that. So you guys got me again. I don't see any new news. I think that's going to wrap it up. I'm Chris Ross. This has been the Daily Spread for Tuesday, April 4th. If you like the show, hit the like, hit the heart button. That's a huge help. I love that. If you don't like it, you know what to do. If you're watching this later on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and be sure to catch our future episodes. And thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Leave your comments in the comment. Let us know your thoughts. Will Texas Tech have a defense? How will TCU do? Should they be considered more of a contender instead of a dark horse? Can they survive that stretch, that early stretch of games there? Let us know your thoughts. I appreciate it, guys. Give us a follow on Twitter at @the_LGG. This has been the Daily Spread. Later.